Matty B Files. I'm your host, Matt Bigelow, coming at you from Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo, Japan. And I am coming at you from the Ogikubo studio. I'm sitting on my tatami mats, and the sun is streaming in. Kind of cleared up. It was cloudy earlier. That's why the podcast is up a bit late. I specifically wait for ideal tatami mat conditions before pushing the record button. Today we have a guest named TempoMental, and he is from London, Ontario, not London everywhere else in the world. He's a hip-hop artist, a rapper, vocalist, singer. I really liked his songs. He gave me his album, but I checked him out on YouTube before, and he combines like layered beats. I'm a huge fan of a band or of a group called Black Alicious, and the Roots. Yeah, I don't really like the Roots, but they use real instruments and they layer very carefully their songs. Sometimes modern R&B and hip hop for me, there's not enough meat in the beats, if you know what I mean. Like, so we kind of talk about this in the interview, in the conversation, where I can just kind of hear very thin, like, electronic stuff, and my mind needs complexity with music. Even if it's very simple music, I need layered. I need a bass, like not a bass dum 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 dum. I mean, I need like a triangle, like an Illuminati triangle, where you have the bass, and then you layer on top and on top and on top until you get to the very tip of the triangle with the eye that shines out of the material, and then that eye shining out of the material goes into my ears and shines some sort of light in my brain, and I have an interaction, a very close interaction, and a mental exchange with the music. And so I kind of felt that with TempoMental. Yeah, he put his eye of the pyramid into my ear and lit up something in my brain. I like that. I like that. But I didn't tell him he did that, and so he might be figuring this out now, and he might not approve of this relationship that we have going on now. What's up, TempoMental? Hope you got back to London, Ontario, okay, from Tokyo, Japan. So we will be talking with him. Sure, why not? We're going to be talking with him in a couple of minutes after the introduction here. Kind of a side note, very sad note, a listener to the podcast who's been listening since the first episode, I believe, had a tragic event. A good friend of his and a beatboxer was found dead in the mountains or in the woods or something. I'm not too sure. Foul play is not suspect, but losing someone in your life is super hard, and it's out of our control. So I hope that you can get through this, and I hope that you can somehow learn from this. As we get older, we got to learn to live with people falling off of the iceberg. But don't be like a penguin and forget about that person. Of course, we have to carry them along with us somehow. I had a friend who died. He fell off a cliff when we were camping, and he was like a really important person, not only to me but to like all of our friends. Like, he had this really special spirit, and it kind of fortified me into. I was not a good musician, and I was not very likable. Still am not. And his death motivated me to really try to do something with music, and not necessarily try and become some famous person, but just try to accomplish something pure and honest and uncompromising with music, because that's what he was doing. And if I let that dream of his die, then I felt I would not be respecting him or myself. So for good or bad, I have music with me because of him. I remember actually he had this he was very independent, and when he was growing up, he lived in one of those campers that you put onto the bed of a truck. His house was kind of small, and they didn't make much money. So he wanted to listen to jazz, big Coltrane fan, and there was like a truck backed up to a deck, and then the deck would be the height of the camper bed. So I would sometimes go over there and we would talk and hang out on his deck. This is before we were, drinking beer, so we would have to find things to talk about. And he was so passionate about music, and I kind of looked at him and I said at the time I was like 15 or something. I was like 16 maybe, and I was like, I don't really have any passions. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you better find one." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." So I got into drumming and music and really tried hard to do something with that. And here I am, 15, 16 years later, sitting on a tatami mat, building a school at a tech company so that I can use that money to fund my artistic endeavors. Don't have any kids. I'm not married, although I do live with a beautiful human being, a woman, Japanese woman. So I don't know. It's like life throws you these curveballs or footballs, and it's up to you to sculpt that meaning and take it with you moving forward. So do what you got to do, but don't go too crazy. So there you go. That's my message. Okay, I want to do a news thing actually. I have to do a lot of news, and I reread the same news articles a lot actually for my job, and I've had several jobs doing this. So I don't just like read a headline, and I don't just read the article once. Sometimes I end up reading the article 30 times a week with different people with different skill sets. So I read it with software engineers, or I read them with salespeople, or I read them with managers, or I read them with younger people, older people. And after a while, you kind of like see different patterns because the initial shock of the article, because news is always trying to shock you into reading it. Like that's why it's designed. It's designed. There's a headline, shocking. There's the first sentence, what's going on? And then it pulls you in, and then it will give you some data. That I studied journalism. That's how it works. So after like 30 times, you're no longer shocked, and you get. I don't mean you. I mean I glean something else from it. So, for example, there is this news article, and I want to explain to the people listening the peeling back some of these layers and doing a bit of lateral research to identify certain patterns. Okay, not like some sort of this is what's happening in the Trump administration, or oh my God, these are messages from the Illuminati. It's nothing like that at all. It's a technique. It's a technical technique, and we're gonna break it down. So here we go. This is from the Daily Mirror, and I chose this website just because I'm familiar with the article and I did some research on the writer. Robot working in a supermarket fired after a week as it scares human customers. It was programmed to give directions and tempt customers with samples. By Jeff Parsons. I'll read some of it here. A robot working in a local supermarket lasted only a week before it was fired for making the customers uneasy. Well, now, were they scared or uneasy? Nicknamed Fabio, the robot's employment was part of an experiment run for a BBC program to see if it could integrate with human shoppers. Fabio was placed in the flagship Edinburgh store of Scottish supermarket chain Margiotta. Its job was to interact with customers through jokes and greetings and help them locate items within the store. So if you're wondering why an Italian grocery store, Margiotta, is in the middle of Edinburgh, Scotland, it's because Scotland and Tuscany actually have a close relationship. If you go to Toscana, you can find Scottish people there, and they do cultural exchanges. So there's Italian influence in Scotland and Scottish influence in Toscana. I know because I went to Tuscany. So this robot then says Fabio initially started out strongly. It soon became clear that the cyborg wasn't going to be replacing a human worker anytime soon. Shoppers began to get frustrated when it couldn't answer their questions. When asked where the beer was, the robot replied, "It's in the alcohol section." Fabio, which was developed by Harriet Watson University and is officially called ShopBot, also struggled to deal with the ambient noise in the store. I think that's just a nice way of saying that the ShopBot could not understand the Scottish accent. There probably wasn't enough localization. This ShopBot, by the way, is originally a Japanese robot called Pepper, and Pepper is not a good name for a robot abroad because Pepper has too many meanings, but in Japan it's just Peppa. It's kind of cute. So then it said, unfortunately, Fabio, the robot, didn't perform as well as we had hoped. People seem to be actually avoiding him. So are they scared? Are they uneasy? Are they avoiding him? Why? Conversations didn't always go well. Instead, it just gave general locations for cheeses in the fridges. Despite its shortcomings, the staff appeared to be become quite attached to their robotic companion. Was it a robotic companion or a cyborg or what? See, the news has to choose different words for the same thing. Otherwise, they don't get published. When Fabio was told it was being let go, it asked, "Are you angry?" There were some tears in the shop when the little white robot was packed up and taken back to the university. One of the things we didn't expect was the people working in the shop to become quite attached to it. So people were crying. And so, like, can you see how the headline says it was fired and it scared people, and then it was uneasy. Customers were uneasy, but then people were crying about it. So it kind of was like not really consistent in my opinion. There's one comment by someone called Olmon. Of course, it's just a comment, but he says, or the commenter says, Gier says, the headline is a fabrication. The robot was not, quote, fired, unquote. Fabio was there for 1 week, which was simply the time agreed for filming with the BBC. I ran the experiment. Oh, well, who knows? You're just an internet commentator, but that's interesting. So, well, why would the writer, why would the commentator, he's not like saying you are an asshole, or he's not trying to, it's a very technical kind of comment. So I go back to the top and I click on Jeff Parsons. I click on his bio for this Daily Mirror, whatever it is, the mirror.co.uk. And it says, Jeff Parsons. Jeff is a technology and science reporter for the Daily Mirror. Okay. He is also a touring didgeridoo player. What? And enjoys making up facts for author bio pages. Oh, ha ha ha. He's joking. He's not really a didgeridoo player. Oh, but what? He's a journalist, but he lies in his bio? He says he's a touring didgeridoo player. No, he's not. But he enjoys making up facts for other bio pages, for author bio pages. So in his bio, he says he enjoys making up facts. And he also says he's a touring didgeridoo player. So I know he's just making a joke and shit, but what's up with that? You're a journalist. You should be telling us what you are, not making jokes about yourself about what you are not. And that you put making up facts in your own, okay, now I doubt you and I doubt your writing, your article, because I should doubt you. Well, let's do a little bit more research on this Jeff Parsons, tech science reporter. Okay, go to his LinkedIn, scroll down to his history, and he says that he has a master's degree in journalism from the University of Sheffield. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't go down to the University of Sheffield and check their records, but he's saying so okay. Is he making up facts about that? I don't know. So that's the degree of a master's? Like, that's the quality of your bio? You have a master's degree in journalism, and you make up facts about yourself and then make jokes about the fact that you're lying to the public about your bio? Why don't you say you have a master's degree in journalism? Then I scroll up and I go into his summary, and it's in his second paragraph. He says, I'm particularly proud of being able to blend traditional journalistic skills. And he goes on, and then it says, and in the same thing, I'm able to blend traditional journalistic skills and social media manipulation, analytics, and web development. So he says that he enjoys social media manipulation. He says that he makes up facts, and then he says that he has a master's degree in journalism? What? I think I know what's going on. I think all of these reporters get like this is a field test, I think, from university and a BBC program. So you have good points and bad points, and I think these journalists get a list of the good points and bad points, and then they make their own story. Oh, customers were avoiding them. They didn't do as well as the humans. They were scared. That's why they were fired. The contract wasn't renewed. It's a firing. No, it's not. The contract was not renewed. It's not being fired. Those are two separate things. You can't say something was fired when it was just not renewed. That's deceptive. That's manipulation. And so when I research this robot fired in Scotland into Google search, well, first we get robot fired from grocery store for poor performance. No, it was there for 1 week, as agreed upon. Robot fired from grocery store for utter incompetence. Robot hired by Scottish supermarket, then sacked after a week. Scottish grocery store fires robot employee for being incompetent. And I think somebody called him thirsty, meaning kind of borderline sexual harassment, because he's aggressive and giving high fives and hugs. So I think that a whole bunch of journalists from around the world are copy and paste journalists. They receive a whole bunch of information. They're probably even told how to spin it. Oh, make this one about robots taking jobs. Oh, okay. If I'm a feminist, I'll say it has a man's voice and it's terrifying the customers with its sexual harassment. Oh, I'm a comedian. I'll say that its jokes weren't funny and so it was fired. This is how the news operation is working, actually, worldwide. So I'm not going to go on too long about it, but when I read the article the first time, I thought it was funny and, oh, okay, robots aren't here to replace us yet. But then these people, I realized that they are spinning the data, and we don't actually get the real information. We don't get some actual conclusions based on the data. So typically you would have a theory, testing, and then a conclusion. These reporters remove the theory and the conclusion and make their own theory and conclusion, thereby depriving the public of actual results based on the data. It's their own interpretation of the data based on spin, like sci-fi, like with technology. Journalists love to use movies, science fiction movies, like The Matrix. It's like The Matrix, or what's that other one? Tom Cruise, where he has the pre-crime one. It's like that pre-crime movie. It's not. These are hacks. They're fucking hacks, and they have master's degrees, and they sit there and they wake up and they go, I'm going to manipulate social media today. And then they set upon doing that, and then they put that shit into the internet. Google recognizes those websites as approved, as trustworthy websites. Why would those websites be trying to deceive us? Those are approved websites, but the writers therein are manipulating the data to spin a story in a mental direction of their choosing, not really actually based on the data. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. That's how I feel about it. And if you think about it, before we go on to the interview, if you think about it, if you long game it, I can consider like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, before social media, the internet was a lot freer, and the websites you could find more individualized data. And it was a lot more anonymous too. People had handles, and you could go on to social communities of your choosing and form relationships there under an anonymous name, sort of making your own digital version of yourself. But then along comes social media, and now everybody uses their real name for the most part. And then the way of getting information before social media. People would hand each other info, they would theorize. Of course, there's a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff like that, but who cares? It was fun. But now the politics and journalists are trying to shoehorn themselves into our social media feeds. And then they're trying to approve what kind of news gets put into our social media feeds. And these social media feeds are approving news that has some sort of psychological spin on them. And instead of sharing more interesting and relevant information hand to hand, these sort of digital superlords are now trying to reconfigure the information delivery system back towards the mainstream, where it was 15, 20 years ago on the TV. Those entities are now trying to plunge themselves like digital daggers into our brains via a step-by-step approval rate. And then soon we will just be reading the same shit that was really popular on TV 20 years ago. So that's where it's going. All right. Thank you. I needed to get that off my chest. I don't know why. All right. Let's go into the podcast. Oh, before we do, I would just like to say, if you're into this, whatever it is that this is, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who's coming to Tokyo, Japan, and they're into music, send this podcast their way. And if you know a musician that's coming to Tokyo and you think that they would be cool to interview or whatever, let me know. And if you get co-producer credits for that. Speaking of which, April Peridot of InterIdoru is getting executive producer credits for this show. She hooked me up with TempoMental. Saves me time, saves me money, and the guy was really cool. So thank you, April, for that. You're doing a great job helping this podcast, by the way. You send me a list of names. I really appreciate it, to be honest. It's great. Thank you. If you're touring to Tokyo as well and you don't know what to do, you don't know how to manage it, you can check out InterIdoru. Idol is a talent here in Japan, like a name for a talent. And she knows a lot about the shows, a lot about the venues, dates, and she can get your tour managed that way. So contact InterIdoru if you're into that. Also, I've decided to commercialize this podcast. So if you want, you can go to MatthewPMBigelow.com and you can get the official Matty B Files catheter. This is a catheter that fits smoothly over your penis. Also, it's connected to the internet via secure cellular data systems, where your urine is analyzed and then it's sent back to your smartphone app. It comes with a catheter application, securely delivered via cell phone communications. In the application, you will be able to find not only the contents of your urine and easy-to-understand analytics, but also the predicted day of your death. It's a death clock for your dick. If you're interested in that, it's only 3 easy payments of $19.95 at MatthewPMBigelow.com. I am also planning on releasing an origami parachute, where you jump out of an airplane, open the parachute, fold it up into a crane that doesn't fly, and then you die. With that, we're going to move into the podcast. We got TempoMental coming at you from Ogikubo, Tokyo, Japan. The song that we're going to play is Bottle It Up off of his album Loaded with Pain. You can find it. You can get it. It's dope. 20 tracks, and it's all highly produced stuff. Get into it. All right. Thank you for listening. Let's go.
Another broken heart that leaves me lost and caught up in emotions, but nobody ever knows. Like up and swallowing a potion to keep a smile on my face even when I'm feeling hopeless. Change designs on the daily like I was kaleidoscope. I drink a bottle of gin and let it sit in my stomach like the rest of this pit of pain. I hide it until I plummet, get high as a motherfucker. Inside I'm always running, but feel like I reach suicide before I reach the summit. Never been too good at lifting weight off your shoulders, and now it's feeling like bones. The more I keep getting older, wish I had another motive, but it seems like I've been destined to be the vessel for everybody's pain when they be stressing. I invested in depression. Only time I get releasing is when I'm smashing out a mic and when I drink away the weekend. Skip the motherfucking deacon. Ain't no confessing my sins. So close to the edge, but still holding it in. I bottle it up. consequences, incarcerating my feelings, not too appealing, but I'd rather be high as a damn ceiling than crying under the moonlight, trying to conceal it. Don't wanna talk about it, walk about it, never look back, son. Position myself to get back on track, but the second I do, the bad news starts to stack up, hurting my soul, but still fueling my passion. See, my grandfather passed from a stroke 3 years ago, and I never thought I'd ever see so many tears fall down grandma's face, and then it happened to her. And I've been summoning the strength, but can't find the words, and every day she's losing faith. I wish I just had the answer, or a cure for my pops who was diagnosed with cancer. Why does everybody I love seem to be leaving me lately? Perhaps a good die young, or maybe God just hates me. I battle it up, 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 I battle it up. And I always feel like I'm about to fucking lose it, but I'm seconds away from stopping, and I can do something stupid, cause the truth is I'm influenced by these demons I'm fighting, so I'm fluently breaking battles anytime that I'm writing. The darker part of me adjusts, I give in to the lust, but I find no pleasure even if she's sexy as fuck. It's a trap I can't get out of, will I survive or die? Cause every time I reach my destination I get rerouted. So much breaking down around me, my emotions on hold, and everybody thinks I'm heartless cause my face is stone cold. No expression, just some more pain locked in the safe now, until I'm on my own and it's okay to freak out. Crying in silence, I'm trying not to be violent, but I in the islands like I should run away in defiance. I've had enough of these tyrants, backstabbers and fake friends. Won't have to bottle it up if I stop taking it in. I battle it up, 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 I battle it up.
I know. Who's knocking?
I don't know.
I don't know. All right. We got TempoMental on the Matty B Files podcast. I'm drinking a Lagavulin 16-year-old, not a girl. And you don't drink.
No. Not for a long time now, 10 years now. Yeah.
Was it because of the issue?
I'm part native. I make some pretty dumb decisions sometimes when I'm drunk, especially with hard liquor. So I just kind of stay away from it.
Yeah, Native American.
Yeah.
How Native American?
My grandfather was full. My dad was half, I believe. So I'm like a quarter. Yeah.
I don't know because I've never really been to America except Hawaii, which doesn't really count. But some people say, I have Native American as a way to sound.
Yeah.
Like to gain some sort of traction in the conversation.
No, it's very tiny in me, very tiny.
Yeah, but it's true. The old fire water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with beer. I just kind of stay away from the hard liquor.
That makes sense. Yeah. Have you seen that Family Guy episode of the once most bigoted Rat Pack songs?
I don't think so.
No?
I'm not a huge fan of Family Guy.
Me neither, but sometimes their clips appear on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they have like these songs that are just borderline really racist, but with vocabulary that's not too harsh because they're from like the 50s.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it goes like drunk old Indian sitting in his teepee, fire water keeping him warm. So offensive.
Yeah, they hit the nose pretty good on those. I think South Park's probably one of the worst ones.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Where are you from then? In America, right?
No, Canada.
No, Canada. Okay,
yeah, I'm from London, Ontario.
London, Ontario.
Yeah.
I saw that. I thought you might have been from Chicago. Like I saw on Facebook that you were in Chicago. Am I wrong?
No, that was one of my stops on the way here.
Oh, I got you.
And then on the way home, I believe I stopped in San Francisco, and then I'm back in Canada after that.
Okay, and you're a hip hop artist. Would you say hip hop artist, rapper?
I kind of infuse soul with hip hop and R&B, so it's like it's a nice little smooth feel for the most part.
I would agree. I was listening to some of your tracks earlier. I really liked them. It's the type of hip hop that I like.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's you layer your beats, your own beats, right? Do you make your own beats?
I have many producers I work with. I do a lot of my own production as well.
Yeah. That's really important because sometimes a lot of like hip hop these days, it just feels like a drum machine and somebody like with one hand on a keyboard.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And then they just
awful.
repeat the same verse for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's very repetitive flow, monotonous. I don't like a lot of the new hip hop. I'm more of an old school head.
Yeah. What do you know how that happened?
I think it's just the trap era. You know what I mean? Kids don't really listen to lyrics anymore. They like stuff they can dance to and bump to, and that's kind of what they fall into the category of. So they don't really pay attention to what the people are saying anymore. And rappers caught on to that. So now all these new rappers that weren't necessarily talented, they know that nobody's paying attention to the lyrics. So some of them don't even say lyrics. They just say random things, right? And over catchy beats, and gets people going.
I don't really even think that I'm a drummer. I don't think the beats are catchy. Like when I listen back to some of like the 80s stuff where they're sampling records, like they're catching like these pretty like fat beats, whatever they're called. And Black Alicious, they're really good with their drum sampling and drum production. I love Black Alicious.
Yeah, they're
like,
dope.
I saw him live, Gift to Gab.
So good.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I wonder, how do these other people rise to the top and somehow represent the scene?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all electronic nowadays, right? I'm a big underground head because they keep it old school and keep it, very intelligent, right? So that's what I'm in it for.
Lyrics too, very important.
Exactly.
I've noticed that in your music.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What's the London, Ontario scene like? One thing that I like doing this podcast with all these international musicians that come in, I can like learn about the scene. I'm from BC.
Yeah.
Not a big hip hop scene out there.
Well, they got right now. I believe Snack the Rippers doing big things out there. So is Mercules. They're from British Columbia. They're doing real big things. Actually, they were
really?
touring Europe and all of Canada. I think they had some American tours as well. Mercules is kind of blowing up right now. He's really killing it, and he's very underground as well, right? So he still keeps it very real. It's dope.
Okay. What's the London scene like?
London scene is good, man. I mean, for the most part, it's all underground hip hop artists. I'm part of a crew called Dreamsters Union, and it's kind of like a multi-talented crew. We have rappers, singers, rockers, writers, poets, comedians. We're just kind of like a comedian or a community of talented people that kind of all have similar goals, right? So, yeah.
Do you collaborate?
Oh yeah, all the time. We're kind of working on some collaborative albums currently, and we just enjoy doing music and doing what we do, right?
That's interesting. Do at a hip hop show, will there also be poetry reading?
Oh, of course. Yeah, spoken word is real big in London hip hop as well. Lots of people just cut out the beats and just kind of speak to acapellas. Niggawana is one of the artists we work with. He's very dope and he's very fluent with that. Often he'll cut out the beat and just do an acapella, and it's a whole new vibe, right? So yeah.
Huh. And is the scene like strong out there? Do people show up? Does the average Londoner
we have
swing by after work? Or?
We have ups and downs. Some shows, you don't get a whole lot of people out, and then other shows are huge, right? Like we opened for Redman and Method Man last year, and it was like 1,500, 2,000 people in the building. And
Shit.
Yeah, so it was nice.
Did you meet him?
No, we didn't get the opportunity to meet them. Our DJ did, actually.
Oh, nice.
But yeah.
Those guys, yeah. Are they really that lyrical? I thought they were more about like their rhythm.
Oh no, they're Redman and Method Man. No,
Yeah.
they're insane. Yeah, they're crazy lyrical. Yeah. They keep it very old school, and their punchlines are just like unbelievable sometimes.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, they managed to really like maintain a long representation of themselves in the media.
Absolutely,
and it wasn't just like a spike, but a really long term effect. That's really cool when that happens.
Yeah.
What kind of venues do you play at in London?
We have several venues, or we had several venues. Many of them have kind of closed down recently. APK used to be a big one, especially for hip hop and punk music. And a lot of people love that place, so they would come out and support even if the show wasn't big or anything like that. Nowadays, we kind of rock 765, Roxbury, Gordy's Brew House. They have the London Music Hall for the bigger events, like the headliners and stuff like that. But it's getting to be, kind of far in between now. Everybody's kind of sloping off and staying away from the hip hop because sometimes it has a reputation for being rowdy or violent and all that. And I don't know why, because a lot of heavy metal shows and stuff get much more violent than any hip hop show I've been to. But I don't know. It's just got a bad rep sometimes. So.
Well, I think it's because the mainstream representatives like to include, a lot of really horrible words and methods and messages about women and other people.
I agree, especially the mainstream music. It really kind of advertises that gun and violence, gang stuff, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're more of on a real level, like your regular average working man type thing,
Yeah, fighting the system.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they're out to get you.
Exactly.
You have a reason to be paranoid.
Yeah, we try to elevate our rhymes. We also try not to swear too much anyways, but we do it to exaggerate a situation sometimes as well.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's good. Sometimes in recent years, people just swear because now it's okay to swear. So you hear people just using a lot of swear words, but then it loses the effect that a swear word really should have. It should be like emphatic.
To accentuate something.
Yeah,
exactly.
But people were they're replacing the word fuck with like.
Yeah.
It's fucking, it's fucking this fucking thing. And you're just like, whoa, dude.
It's supposed to express like anger or a certain feeling towards something, not just to say it, right? So,
yeah. So there we go. How do you get your beats made up? Can you take me through the beat process?
Personally, and a lot of my crew, we like to sample vinyl. So like even today I went out and bought a whole bunch of Japanese vinyl to take home, and we'll play the record, and then we'll find some spots or a nice little sample that we dig, and we'll take that, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 samples from that, and then we'll kind of chop it up, play it out on the piano, spread it out on the piano, and then play it out.
What do you mean spread it out on a piano?
It's like you take the sample and you put it onto your program, or your and MIDI wise anyways.
I got you.
And you spread it out on your piano, and then you can just play certain sections or parts of it however you want.
Oh, so you like embed within a key.
That's correct.
A drum loop or a piano thing or a guitar.
Yeah, and then we'll get a drum. Some people just use breaks. A lot of us like to play our own drums. So like I have an MPC studio, and a lot of my friends have Akai products, and they love the drum machines and stuff. So they just kind of do their own drums, and we'll do the hi-hats, and then we'll chop the sample, we'll add a bass line, some other synths perhaps, or even some other sounds, and just put it all together.
Why do you need the original vinyl to set all of that up? Because I'm a songwriter, and I have to search for my own very original.
Yeah.
I can't just go, I really liked this Johnny Cash song, so I'll include the guitar in my I'll sing the guitar part. What's with that?
We don't have to.
I know.
mean, we do a lot of original production as well, where we just play everything out with different synths or different sounds. But I love, especially in hip hop, we love the feel of that old school sound, the blues and the souls, and when you infuse it in the new music, it just kind of gives it that classic feel. And nothing sounds better than vinyl, right? So
Yeah.
it's just it makes for beautiful music, right?
A lot of those old school records were produced in quite nice studios with good. And the engineers in those days, they tried to capture the actual sound of the instrument rather than try to process it to sound like something else.
Exactly, very much so. Yeah.
So you find like all those piano sounds, and if you sample a piano sound and then screw around with the EQ a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
horns and harps and strings, and it's just some sounds that are difficult to recreate these days.
Well, how do you know that you're not interfering with like the wrong notes between clips as far as like keys, keys?
I think it's all based on personal preference. Sometimes you can kind of tailor it or fix it to how you want it to. You can put a reverb on it or equalize it differently, or cut out the lows and just use the highs. Or it really all depends on how you work with it. Yeah.
So when people say you're just stealing other people's music,
I think in a way sometimes that can be true. But it all depends on how you do it, because in a lot of ways you might be sampling it, but you're recreating it. And like I said, we also do a lot of original production as well. We work with a lot of real guitar players and real key players and real drummers. So we don't always do that either. But it just gives you that nice feel.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I don't think it's stealing. And in fact, there's so much music out there that it could be possible that the part that you're sampling wasn't really even heard by most of the people who used to listen to that record.
That's true.
And you kind of take out this funky line, funky or like something that catches your ear in a different way, because you need to be original with your sampling. Otherwise, you don't sound like everyone else, right?
Absolutely.
So you kind of pay more attention to that particular part in the music than was originally given.
That's correct. Yeah.
Because it could be that the songwriter was there, and then the engineers, and then something happened in the middle of that song.
Yeah.
And that's what gets extracted like 30 years later.
Exactly. And you kind of bring it back too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the music doesn't die. You can keep it alive and bring it back. And sometimes when you recreate it or replay it or sample it, you can make it sound entirely different. So people don't even recognize the sample, recognize where it comes from. It sounds totally different, right? So, yeah.
London is close to the border, right?
We're about, say, 3 hours from the border.
3 hours. Okay. I went through Ontario once, like 11, 12 years ago. I went on tour, and we passed through London, I believe, but it kind of blended with Sault Ste. Marie by this point in my memory.
Yeah.
It's kind of not, I know they're totally different scenes, but how would you compare like, London to Chicago in terms of rap, hip hop music?
I'm not sure. I don't know the Chicago scene too well, apart from like some of the mainstream artists like Common and Twista. I'd say London is definitely more kind of old school underground hip hop. We really appreciate that 90s feel in London, so we kind of try and keep that alive. There isn't a whole lot of cats doing the new trap or whatever the new mainstream stuff is. There are some, but for the most part, we kind of have that classic hip hop feel. Shad, he came out of London. He kind of got big and blew up as well. So there's some cats that have done big things from London.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have to get out of London a lot to explore other cities, or can you just stay in London, Ontario?
A lot of people, when they do tours, they do like to stop in London because the music scene is so big and supportive in most cases. So, but I've toured all over Ontario a couple times, and I do shows wherever, right, as long as the vibe is right. Guelph, Ontario is actually really dope. I like Guelph. They're a big supportive scene there. Toronto is hit and miss. Toronto can be hit and miss sometimes, but some of the best dope hip-hop came from Toronto, like Atom Bomb and the Rascals, so... it really all depends what you're into.
That's right. Rascals were from Toronto. I forgot about that.
Yeah, part of them. I think part of them were from Toronto.
Yeah.
Socrates, Choclair,
They're from the Much Music MTV days, right? Rascals,
The Northern Touch, man. That was my shit back in the day.
Yeah, that's how I remember the Rascals kind of being from Canada. I think seeing them in interviews in high school and stuff.
Yeah, they had that music video with Bret the Hitman Hart in it.
Yeah.
It was good
wrestling. Back when there's more collaboration between wrestlers and hip hop,
Yeah.
These days, you just don't see that happening.
No, because new hip hop it's not well.
No.
It's more for the clubs now, right?
I guess so. And it's hard to understand the difference between like this hip hop, R&B.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's happening, and it almost feels like people get decided that they're going to be famous.
Yeah.
Like they don't choose themselves.
It's all about marketing now.
And
Yeah.
so they kind of get the producers will hire storyteller artists to make a background about this artist, and then they put them in a few photos and
Seems so, yeah.
kind of twist them into this famous person.
Oh yeah, well, and they signed people that shouldn't even be doing music. Like the Catch Me Outside girl, she just got a record deal and is doing music now. And they
Yeah.
only signed her because she's so popular. She's got this following of crazy people that like to see her freak out. But is she really that talented? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
heard that.
It's-
It's like all of the representatives are sitting in these offices looking at Twitter, looking at YouTube, and then they're going to go, wow, well, they got 2 million Twitter followers, and look at this
Exactly.
video that got 50 million YouTube. Well, they must be good enough to be a musician.
yeah.
Whereas
They
it's a
just-
completely different idiom or a medium. Sorry.
yeah, it's like talent doesn't exist anymore. It's all about the dollar signs, right?
views,
Yeah.
hits,
Yeah.
likes, number games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I refuse to play them because there's no result in these number games.
I totally
if,
agree. Yeah.
If you have 5 million views on a Facebook video or on a YouTube video, it's almost the same as having 5.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know that 5 million people saw it, and you don't know how YouTube is calculating this.
Absolutely.
And then you don't get dollars from it.
No.
You get
Well,
cents.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What was it, Drake?
Give me some dollars,
Drake
bitches.
just released an EP. I'm not a huge fan of Drake, but he released his EP and he put it on iTunes, and he's got 4 million streams or something within the first week, and he maybe made $9,000 off that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
You can't play the numbers game these days. No, the only, for me, I've decided, and I'm sticking to it, is to try to provide high quality content through your own channel.
Absolutely.
And then if people want in, they can get in that way.
Absolutely.
But this whole SoundCloud, CD baby distribution thing, I'm just like, no. I'm taking it. I'm taking my ball and I'm doing it my way.
Exactly.
And if anybody tells me to do it differently, I'm going to be like, listen, no one's making cash off of this at the moment. So
Exactly.
if you're only going to have your legacy, you may as well make your legacy as good as possible.
That's right.
So that when 20 years time, you can be like, listen, I was trying to do this.
Yeah.
But this was what was famous, and history will decide
Exactly. I totally
who
agree.
who's on.
That's what I try to do with my music, as I want to leave behind something that people will remember me for and appreciate, something I can be proud of, not something that I just did to conform or did to fit in, because I wouldn't be proud of that. That's not me. You know what I mean? I want to try and keep it real 100%. So
It's like conformities become popular.
yeah.
I mean,
No, you're very, very correct. Yeah. It's awful.
it's weird, and it's like a lot of people I know become artists to protest the system, and then it's just like they're chasing government grants or trying to get approval from the very people that they're supposed to be challenging. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
It's because so many people don't have the money to fund their own projects, so they want those handouts. They want that help. And I mean, there's nothing wrong if you can get funded.
Government-funded comedian.
Yeah,
Give
like,
me a break.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with government funding if you can do it on your own platform and your own original content. That's cool. But if you have to change what you're doing and do stuff that you don't want to do to try and get that, then there's a big issue there. you know?
Yeah. And there's also a lot to be said about freedom,
Oh yeah.
where
guaranteed.
you don't have to cooperate because you're not shackled by someone else's
Exactly,
contract. So,
yeah.
sure, okay, I didn't make the $9,000 that Drake made off of 4 million streams or whatever. Woo! My loss. I'm free. I am free, and I have the freedom to publish and do whatever I want with my
Exactly.
creativity. It's a really good feeling, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no ghostwriters behind any of our music. We write all our own stuff. We produce everything. You know, there's nobody telling us what to do or what songs to make or what we have to say. We're masters of our own craft, right? So it's a beautiful thing.
Sometimes I feel with the celebrity musicians that are protesters, it's like I kind of have this image of them driving a Bentley into a gated community,
Yeah.
and then escorted by armed guards into their house, where they go to the top of this spire and plunge their legs into caviar, open up their window, and with like just scream to the whole community, "I'm sorry." And like that's their story. That's their legacy.
Yeah, you wonder sometimes. It gets to be pretty awful. Although there are some underground cats that are preaching the freedom stuff and fighting and revolutionaries that do keep it very real, like Dead Prez and Immortal Technique. They do big things. Immortal Technique actually sold his album independently and used that money to build schools in Afghanistan and stuff to help the kids that America kind of terrorized. So some of them are doing very real and good things.
I don't want to lump them all into that category of fake protester.
You're very right though. Some people just say it because it sounds good, right?
And the people that can profit off of their own freedom, I think that's like the best thing ever, where you can combine the free market with your freedom of choice and the public response. And you got a bank full of dollars, but you still do what you're previously doing, just with better results.
Absolutely. Independence the way to go if you can make it happen.
Yeah. It's a tough game out there.
Oh yeah,
tough
for sure.
game.
You gotta know the avenues. I still don't know all the avenues.
Me neither.
So
yeah.
it's a tough game to play.
What do the black guys and the white guys in the rap scene, do they respect each other?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think maybe in the past it was a little bit more tension between the two races. I hate splitting or dividing people up by color, but I think because
It's my personal hobby.
Yeah, because hip hop did come from the black community and was created, and it was less accepted when white people started to get into it and rap. Eminem kind of opened up or paved the ways to do so. I mean,
With Dre.
Vanilla Ice tried to, but he made some really poor decisions and kind of screwed it up for a while. So
And he went more white.
yeah,
Like he was sampling Queen
exactly. Yeah.
and saying he wasn't.
But Eminem definitely kind of showed people that white people got skill in hip hop and made it more so about appreciating the lyrics and appreciating the music than paying attention to the color of the person doing so, right?
Yeah.
And I think actually, to be completely honest, I think hip hop's kind of helped us close that divide and stand together on some things. So
That's a good point, because it's also the power of your words.
well, now it's more about the struggle. It used to be about, I mean, it's still about the black struggle, but it used to be about just the black struggle. Now it's about struggle all around the world, not just white people, but people, from Iraq and people all around the world that are dealing with struggle. Now they're getting into the hip hop and they're telling their stories, and we can all relate to each other and understand each other better, right? So, yeah.
What regarding Eminem, recently he was doing all that kind of anti-Trump stuff, and he was kind of whining a little bit about not getting a response.
Yeah.
How did that go down? And what was the scuttlebutt in your community where you're from? I don't know if I should be using the word community. I don't know.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't know. I think a lot of my community really digs Eminem. I think he's one of the most talented MCs in the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've never really gotten into his music too much because I wasn't a big fan of some of the directions he took with it, and he kind of repeated himself.
I'm making fun of celebrities.
Yeah, he kind of repeated himself in many albums and stuff like that, but he's definitely one of the most talented MCs out there. I do like the fact that he takes a stand and does talk about important issues, though. I think a lot of people were really hard on him when it came to the whole Trump thing because they were like, oh, it's not lyrical or the flow was awful or whatever. But like you need to listen to what the guy's saying. He was trying to push a message, and with his platform and the amount of people that listen to his music, it's extremely important. So I mean, I got a lot of respect for him.
What about when he was in like the parking lot with all of the G's behind him on the cars?
Yeah, Royce the 5'9". Hey, Royce is dope too, man.
It was kind of obvious though. I thought it was a little too on the nose.
Yeah, it was okay though. He's
Yeah.
just trying to show that he had, people supporting him and people believed in him, right? And he's trying to keep it street. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty dope.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anything against Eminem or for Eminem, but
Yeah.
I'm not really a hip hop guy.
Yeah.
But when Mile 8, is that the name of that movie?
Oh, 8 Mile.
8 Mile
yeah.
came out, like his single for that was
Yeah.
cool and like had that instrumental background
That was
mix.
a great movie, actually.
It was a good
Yeah.
movie too. He acted well
Yeah.
and he's kind of playing himself in many ways, I think. Like I'm
Yeah.
writing lyrics on the bus. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, I think it was kind of pretty close to the story of his actual life, so it was kind of easier for him to do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your lyric process? Do you write on paper or do you go from off the dome?
No, I do freestyle as well, but when I'm doing my music, I write in books and papers. I got hundreds of notebooks at home with pages and pages of lyrics. I'm probably one of the only people I know that still does it on paper. Most people do it in their phones or on their computers nowadays, and I don't know. I like the feel of being able to write. It's probably one of the only times I do write nowadays because everything's so digital now. But
Yeah.
I don't know. My music's old school, so I like to go through an old school process of making it. Yeah.
You some of the lyrics like "fuck the mainstream,"
Yeah.
kind of happy that the record industry collapsed.
Yeah.
Are those like your general themes? Anger.
No, not at all. You're talking about the best shit is underground.
The best shit is
yeah.
underground, and
No,
it's true though. That's the thing.
Yeah, that one was kind of an attack, just because it's kind of a little bit of a trappy beat. It was produced by my homeboy, the Mad Hatter, who actually just dropped a video. It's just incredible. If you have the opportunity to check it out, it's called "Don't Fence Me In."
Don't fence me.
He's got his
by
kids.
the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, he's got his kids and his wife in his video, and it's such a good video. And he's a really good artist as well. But he produced that beat, and he kind of gave it like a new school feel because I wanted to try and talk to the new school on their level, but also kind of bring them back to my level on that old school tip. So I kept it very lyrical and. I kind of made it a little catchy and against the system, so people would tune in and listen. So, yeah, but most of my music is, like I said, kind of for the average working man. I talk about how hard it is to survive sometimes, and love and financial despair, and I just talk about real topics, right?
Okay. When did you come to Japan?
I came here. Left on the 19th, but I arrived on the 20th. Yeah.
Losing a day.
Yeah.
Gain a day going back, but you spend all that day traveling.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you managed to come to Tokyo in a 40-year low temperature wise.
I think I brought the snow of Canada with me.
Nasty.
When I left, it was negative 22.
Jesus.
And then I got here when it was nice and sunny. I was like, yes. And then like 2 days into it, it snowed like it was Canada. Everybody was blaming me, saying I brought it with me. So
You think you did? I'm blaming
maybe,
you too.
yeah.
Did you go to Kyoto and all those areas in the snow and stuff like that?
Kyoto was nice, actually. There wasn't a whole lot of snow there. It was only the one or 2 days in Tokyo that it was a lot of snow. And actually, we left and then went to Kyoto. We visited a whole bunch of temples and shrines and kind of saw some of the traditional things. We did some traditional dining and got some Japanese curry and such, and it's a great experience, man. I love it here. It's great.
Is that your first time over here?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts like so far?
I think it's awesome. I think I missed the weed a little bit. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
But apart from that, everything else is great here. People are very respectful. They just pay attention to each other. They let each other leave the buses and the subways, and then they get on afterwards. They all keep to one side so people who want to walk by can do so. People are very quiet and, very respectful of each other. I think they're buried in their phones a little bit more than Canada.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's awesome here. Food is great. Yeah.
hard to get a bad meal. Yeah, the smartphone culture kind of pisses me off. I
Yeah.
think it's a really bad term.
I actually thought it was really bad in Canada, and then when it came here, I was like, oh, it's way worse here.
Because it's so safe.
Yeah.
No one's gonna give you any shit for losing yourself in your phone. And
Exactly. Yeah.
Japanese people are a bit shy anyways, so
That's
they're
correct,
looking
yeah.
for a reason to.
To not have to socialize.
Yeah, it's just boo, down.
The one thing actually that kind of blew my mind was the fact that you can leave something somewhere or leave your bag somewhere and nobody will touch it. You know,
Yeah.
you can't do that in Canada or North America in general. More than likely, it will be gone.
And
Yeah.
I think that Japanese people don't really even say, "Oh, there's a bag. I'm not going to take it." They just don't even notice that it's there. Like,
Yeah.
they'll just put their bag down next to that bag,
Yeah, it's very true.
as if it's
Very
just
true.
like a condiment tray.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's just something that's in the environment, and they're not going to put their stuff on it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very crazy because I mean that's something, especially growing up the way I did. You know, it's hard to trust people. It's hard to think that people aren't gonna screw you over in some direction.
sure. Some
So-
guy you've met 3 times might be stealing your iPhone, or
Yeah,
or
I've invited an artist to my house to record, and stuff has gone missing when he left. You know what I mean? So like it's really kind of a shocker to me to get used to the fact that you can really trust people around here. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And you did some shows. You were playing in Osaka, and you were playing.
That's correct, yeah.
When you were doing your shows, did you bring like a CD, or how do you perform as a solo?
I just bring a USB. I prefer to have DJ, but it's kind of hard to bring the DJ with me this
Yeah.
far. So,
Yeah.
they were great at facilitating everything. The sound man were awesome, amazing. The lighting guys were amazing. Everybody was super helpful and super kind, super supportive. The first show we did was in Osaka. It was kind of like a all pop show, so it was a little bit out of my genre.
Right.
But everybody still showed mad love and was very supportive, and it was great. Yeah, I had pretty much full place for my set and 30 minutes to perform, and I had a blast. Yeah. I wish I could have saw Osaka more. Everybody tells me it's a very interesting community, and we kind of only had a short time there. So, but Kyoto was awesome, and then last night actually I had a show in Shibuya.
Shibuya. Yeah.
And it was great there too. It was more of like a kind of like a rock show. Some cats had like Ableton synthesizers, kind of like a Linkin Park type feel, but they were amazing. They blew me away. Especially they had a couple blues groups that were really really good. This one
Were they older guys, the blues guys?
No, what was Soil Heads? I believe was the first cat.
They have the best names.
Yeah, they killed it. It was like a mix of like jazz and blues, and it was so good. The other ones were they were made up of kind of Canadians and Americans, and they go by the name of Summer Olympics, I believe.
Oh, haven't heard of them.
They were really dope as well. And then what do you remember? What the other? Blues Now.
them, yeah.
They had the guitarist for them. He was phenomenal. He was like doing some Santana shit. He blew my mind. He was really really amazing.
The level of musicianship in Tokyo is so high.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Even going to some of these open mics, it would be you could have paid $80 to go and see Cotton Club or Blue Note or something like that,
Yeah.
because those guys will go and jam out sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky, you can catch the really good stuff.
Yeah.
It also you can catch the worst stuff at open mics. But still, the level of quality coming to the base level of performance nights
Yeah.
can still be studio quality.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Crazy.
Well, even the pop, like I said, Osaka was mostly pop, but everybody was so good with the choreography, and they had all their moves down perfectly, you know. And then last night, everybody was so professional, and it just sounded so good, and I was blown away. It was incredible.
Well, we're talking about size. Like 30 people come to a show in Tokyo, and it's kind of a packed room because
Yeah, it's tiny.
rooms in Tokyo are small. Restaurants are small. hotels are small.
Yeah.
You have to really scale down everything
Yeah.
except for the amount of people. Then it gets really large very
All
quickly.
right, I brought albums and T-shirts to sell, and I
Yeah.
got rid of a couple of albums and some
That's cool.
T-shirts, so it was good, man.
Yeah, but how would you compare the size of the club sizes in Tokyo to back in London or wherever you like to play?
We have some small venues in London as well, so I mean, I'm used to doing big and small shows. We've done a mix of everything. I'm cool as long as people get into it and people are very supportive. One thing I've noticed actually doing shows is that here people tend to be big clappers. They all clap. They don't make a whole lot of noise. They just kind of clap and show their love.
Right.
Last night people shouted a little bit, a little bit more and showed more enthusiastic love. But back home, everybody just goes nuts. When you're done, everybody, and they all scream and yell, and yeah, it's very very loud support.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do people in the audience wave their smartphones around a lot?
It
You
depends.
see a lot of that?
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
Some shows, some others you don't. But usually if there's people there to see their friends or whatever, they got their smartphones up recording and taking pictures and stuff. Yeah.
How do we stop that? It's got to stop, doesn't it?
I don't mind it because
Isn't it annoying?
I don't mind it sometimes, but you're right. They miss the actual performance when you're on your phone.
And
all
they
the time.
take really poor quality videos and audio samples of your work and then
Yeah.
upload it.
Yeah.
And say, well, I'm supporting you. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
It would be like if I came to your place of work and tried to like reconfigure your computer or something like that. It would just be like, it's got to stop.
Everybody wants to be a professional photographer
I
nowadays,
know.
right? So.
Don't you think it's got to stop?
Nah.
No?
Sometimes it's all right. I don't mind. I put on a pretty good performance no matter what, so I don't mind.
Okay. Also, sometimes if at a venue, you're trying to watch I'm not using my iPhone, but I'm surrounded by like glowing, floating
that's-
screens. And
that's very true.
And then I can't see what's going on, or people are dancing and then like they hold their iPhone up and they start recording themselves and Instagramming themselves
Yeah.
dancing.
The selfie era.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's a bit much.
it is.
Yeah, I agree
It's
with.
also weird.
Yeah, I agree with the whole selfie thing. Everybody wants to. I had what was it? A show, probably a couple months ago, or maybe longer, maybe 4 or 5 months ago in London. And I was on stage and I'm doing my thing and singing and rapping, and this girl comes up. She's on her phone. And she literally like steps up on stage and faces the crowd with me rapping behind her and starts doing selfies with me in the background. And I'm like, wow, this is
Where'd
next
you
level.
learn that?
Yeah, next level.
Why would they do that? It's
Drunk people sometimes.
I gotcha. If they're drunk a bit, but it's like I'm gonna even interact with you less.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna further away my interaction by.
It's a
I'm not gonna storm your stage and start dancing and like flash my tits or something like that. I'm just gonna start taking selfies.
Yeah, it's a selfish era, right? It's
It
a
is.
selfish era. Everybody's
It's so
about
crazy.
themselves now.
Yeah.
But that's social media. You can create whatever image you want for yourself now. You don't have to be you. You can be somebody else.
Are you using it a lot these days?
I use it a lot for my music. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it though. It's very annoying and it takes a lot of time out of my day. But you kind of have to if you want to stay relevant. You have to be on top of that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've just started turning it into more of like you said,
Yeah.
just sharing it. Here's where you can find some tunes, or here's where you can
Exactly.
find a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what everyone's doing though these days.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of branding themselves.
It's all
and-
become advertisement. Yeah.
But if you look at the M&As, the mergers and acquisitions of a lot of the Facebooks and like Google type companies,
Yeah.
they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars in the past few years on acquiring biometric reading and on acquiring advertising
Yeah, algorithms. Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
the social media itself has become, through mergers and acquisitions, a way for people to promote their own personal brand.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that the social media companies are just gathering all of our data
Oh, yeah.
like our happy faces, sad faces.
Of course,
And
of
then they
course.
send us in advertisements based on that. But no one looks at the advertisements anymore. So it's kind of this weird loop. I think.
course.
Oh, just what was it? What was the company? P&G. No, not P&G. No, yeah, Procter and Gamble.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they pulled $100 million out of their advertising on digital media
Wow.
because it had no results.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And you go on Google and search something, and then like you go on Facebook right after, and it'll have advertisements for exactly what you searched for. you
Yeah.
know?
That's just a coincidence, you conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, sure it is. Actually, no, it isn't. What is it? I heard China is now trying to do the same thing. They're doing data collection, and they're trying to rate people based on their data collection, and they're going to give you a rating as to whether they think you're a good person or a bad person based on what you search for or what you do online. I saw something about that the other day. I wasn't
China
not too
has
informed about it, but I heard
facial
about it.
recognition ATMs.
Oh wow.
And they have facial recognition movable convenience stores.
Wow.
Where the camera will scan your face and then the convenience store will open up and you pay for everything via QR code in your smartphone and like digital
Oh, wow.
currency, and then you leave.
I did not
And
know
then
that.
the owner of the shop, via his application for this convenience store box thing, he can push a button on his smartphone and wheels will come out of the bottom of the convenience store and he can just push the convenience store to a new location.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And the Chinese government has recently said that with their latest facial recognition programs, they can recognize something like 800 million people within a second or two.
Wow.
So they're really advancing these types of
that's
technologies
insane.
as well.
That's
And they're trying to scoop up a lot of like the cultural ambassadors into this
Yeah.
new version to make everybody think it's cool
Yeah, of course.
and not Orwellian. Trust us, it's not Orwellian. Look, the person you like is doing it too.
Yeah. There's no privacy anymore. That's the problem, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
big problem. Anything else? I wanted to. That's kind of thoughts on the cultural. Were we talking about something about that before? Do you remember?
What, sorry?
Before we got onto the whole China thing.
Just, I don't know.
No?
Social media?
Social media. Oh, yeah, using it. Yeah. So it's, yeah. All right. That's our thoughts about that. And the smartphones at the shows and then
Yeah.
shows. Did you notice smartphones at the Japanese shows?
Oh, yeah. People were taking pictures and videos. Yeah. That's kind of cool, though, because I'm not from here. So if they want to capture me and keep me, I'm cool with that.
I guess that is a very big difference. Yeah. Yeah. If you're at the same place and people just come in
Yeah.
and they just start using their phones.
Yeah,
kinda like that.
I'm
But
all
if
right from that because I'm not around. I'm not from around here.
You're
so,
here as like a one-off kind of thing. Oh, that was interesting. Now I'll
Yeah.
go back and do my thing.
Well, I'm hoping I'll come back and do a tour sometime soon. Right now, it's just kind of down to visit and tour and see things, you know.
If you do, I do this thing called the Jamcast,
Okay.
where I mic up my drum set and I mic up a guitar,
Okay.
and we just hit the record button and
Nice.
jam out. I've been
Sounds
looking
great.
for a rapper to like also come in sometimes instead of always just guitar solos.
Anytime.
Get some rap down.
Yeah.
And the guitarist uses a looper, so he makes these like guitar
Okay.
kind of
Yeah,
riffs.
I'm familiar with it.
And
yeah.
then he'll solo over top of that with me on drums. It's all live.
Nice,
And
that's dope.
really don't edit it at all. Just
Okay.
some post like EQ kind of stuff. And
Okay, I'm down anytime.
we have like the sound thing for your voice. We could put that over the microphone.
Nice,
And
nice.
I don't know. It could be cool. So
I'm down
when you're back
anytime.
in
That's-
Tokyo.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and then it would be recorded and published, so you'd be leaving with published, professional, quality published.
Nice. I appreciate
Product.
it. Yeah, I'm down anytime.
Anything to add?
Just like to give a shout out to Dreamsters Union, my family back home, and everybody that supports the music. Thank you, Matt Bigelow.
Yeah, Matt,
for
yeah.
having me on the podcast.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're the first rapper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm not. I like hip hop, but it's not my go-to.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm kind of like pulling a little, I'm not sure what the threads are necessarily.
I feel you. Yeah, you can just Google me on. I mean, you put my name in Google, I'm the first thing that comes up. TempoMental, TempoMental. Yeah, that's about it.
I wanna play a funny video.
Okay, sounds good.
I got my computer here. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
You can also reposition yourself.
All right, cool.
All right. So this one is called A Japanese Ballerina Basically Invented BMX in 1965.
Okay.
All right.
I used to love BMX, and I have one still, so.
So we could kind of comment over the video because it's an audio-only podcast.
Okay.
So we can kind of talk about what's going on.
All right, cool.
So let's see if this works. Hold on, let's go back to the beginning. So we can see
Nice.
a Japanese woman in like a very short skirt on a golden bicycle spinning around the handlebars.
Handle spins, yeah.
Handle spins.
She's got skills.
Can you, if you're a BMXer, can you say what she's doing?
Right now, she's rolling backwards on the back wheel, like catwalk, but going backwards on the back wheel. She's bouncing, doing bunny hops. Yeah, she's pretty talented, actually.
Waving to the crowd,
Yeah.
but like in a 60s kind of variety TV way. What's this?
This is like X Games type stuff, except in a very, very elegant fashion.
Yeah.
She's just balancing right now without moving.
Her skirt is really short, but she's not kind of being a slut about it.
No, it's
Like figure skater style.
Yeah, it's like that old classic type outfit. Very figure skating type outfit.
Circling around, gaining up speed.
Oh, nice. She's doing tail whips.
She did like 3 tail whips in
That
a
was
row.
great.
Yeah. She's wearing high heels, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until now. Oh, now she's like doing a handstand on the handlebars. The bike's moving
Yeah.
backwards.
Running on the wheel.
Yeah, riding the bike by pushing the front wheel with her feet.
Little swing around.
Dave Mirra would be very impressed with this.
Yeah. I saw this. I was just like, what's going on here, man?
Cat walking in circles.
And they got like a live band. This is a Japanese variety show, I think, from like the 60s or something. But
Standing on the handlebars in the seat, rolling around the stage.
in a perfectly straight line. There's no wobble.
Yeah. Very talented.
Oh, looping back the other way with her foot.
Slowing down a little bit. Bam.
Jumped off the bike seat, landed with high heels, and did a little hop.
Very talented.
Maybe this is an American one, because now. A series of pirouettes on the golden bicycle.
Golden bicycle. We visited the Golden Shrine when we were in Kyoto. That was crazy too.
Yeah, the first time you get into those places, you're just like, whoa,
Oh, yeah.
what's going on here? It's so different from like the Christian culture. of
Handlebar
churches.
spin, like
Yeah.
50 handlebar spins, and she's going backwards. That's intense. Mad intense.
Reverse loops. on
Yeah,
the
she's
back
doing
tire.
spins on the back tire. It's pretty incredible, actually.
Yeah. So this is the thing about old school.
Yeah.
It was better.
Oh, yeah.
Like to do that
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
And to have a live band playing like Latin music
And there was only
while a Japanese figure skater is like on a golden bicycle.
yeah, and there was only like maybe 20 feet on the stage. There wasn't a whole lot of room she was working with.
That's
that was
right.
That was pretty incredible.
And the stage looked good backdrop, good
Yeah.
backdrop.
Yeah, it was dope.
Props to the prop
That was
man.
dope.
So yeah, I saw that on actually social media, Facebook, but I
Oh,
thought we
okay.
could watch that as a something that you would never probably ever do otherwise.
Yeah, touche. I used to be a BMXer. I got the GT Mach 3, I believe it is. Yeah. And so I wasn't quite that talented though. That's very dope.
That requires a lot of effort and
Oh, yeah.
grace. She was so graceful.
Oh yeah, it was so smooth.
Yeah. And it wasn't like, yo, I'm like this tough bitch on wheels.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
like, I'm a figure skater.
Very elegant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I have a little checklist here. Japan venues, check. Cold, check. Making beats. Stealing music in quotation marks, of course. Elites, fabricated, yep. The scene, lyrics. Any final thoughts on the culture war? Do you get a lot of that? Like on YouTube, I see a lot of people talking about the culture war, like this current controversy culture versus people who just want to make art. Do you know what I mean? Do you see a lot of that in Canada, where you're from?
I don't know. We have a lot of different cultures in Canada. We're a multicultural country, so and everybody's pretty, for the most part, social and friendly. So I mean, we don't. I mean, there are, some bigots and people that kind of look at each other differently. But for the most part, I think we all try to support each other, even if we're not a big fan of this guy's music or this guy's hobby. We all try to help each other out and support each other as much as we can. We're pretty cool with each other there. There isn't a whole lot of controversy between people in most cases. We're pretty cool with anything there. I mean, every place has their bad people. Every place has their bad spots.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're a pretty peaceful country, I think. Yeah.
All right, thanks. The reason I asked that is because my access to Canada is through media, either through YouTube or through what people kind of tell me about orally. Yeah. So I like to throw out these kind of words that I sometimes hear from people to see if they stick. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Yeah, because recently I've heard like people like the culture war, and I'm like, the what? Like I don't. But what? I don't know.
I think Canada could actually learn a lot from Japanese society, to be completely honest. Some of us are, a little selfish, and maybe that's the social media doing it to us, because I don't think we've always been like that. But it's very polite, very respectful here, and I think we're kind of losing that in North America in general, little by little. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to start, of course, with the self, but also with fashion. If you take your fashion seriously, you take your self-image seriously. You consider the way you present yourself to others, and not necessarily in a suit, but like wearing tights as pants shouldn't be a thing. It's not good presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, There's everybody's got their own style and freedom of fashion, I suppose. But I don't know. I think it's a respect thing, right?
Yeah.
Like some women like to wear short skirts or dress provocatively and everything, and then guys will say, "Oh, well, you're asking for that kind of attention." Well, no, because that attention shouldn't need to be asked for. There should be a respect thing, and a respect aspect involved where you don't, just say things because she's wearing something. You respect her as a woman regardless of what she's wearing. Right?
Yeah.
So,
It looks great. And if you want to have that, then don't be disrespectful. Yeah. Because then it will go away.
Exactly.
And then you get tights.
And then it's not comfortable. You can't be yourself. You can't be who you are because you feel restricted from everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Thank you. I think that's good enough. Anything to add?
No, I'm good. Like I said, just if you are interested in the music, I'm a vocalist, I'm a rapper, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer as well. Just Google TempoMental. And thank you, sir, for having me on the show.
Nah, it's been great. Thanks a lot. And your information will be in the show notes.
Okay.
So everybody just click in the show notes. You can check out the YouTube videos.
Awesome.
You can get some contact information down there. What I'm trying to do with the podcast is I want to create like an international hub where people can come to the podcast website and find musicians from all over. I'm going to redo my website a little bit this year too.
Okay.
And I'm going to put like a player, like a music player, and just have a cycle of all of the musicians that have appeared on the podcast. Because like we got Romanian folk singers, Italian rockers, Japanese all-girl punk bands, like a really, like the list of international musicians is growing to the point where I'm like, this would make a really interesting playlist.
I gotta go through some of that. Yeah. Shout out to my girl for kind of being my tour guide and my translator on my trip. She's
That's good.
A big help. And my family, you know, my mom and my grandmother back home. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Falcon Passport.
Forever. That's the podcast. Thank you for listening. Big thank you to TempoMental for coming out. Big thank you to April Peridot, InterIdoru network there for all your touring needs in Japan. If you like this podcast, please remember to like and subscribe. Really does help. I'll just say as a final thing, I was taking out some just little advertisements like 400 yen here, 500 yen here, $4 or $5, advertising in certain areas of the globe. And all of the people that liked it had names that would never listen to this podcast, like Ahmin bin Alabdul, or some sort of like Von Sprikdingiriktu, one of those Southeast Asian names. I'm like, those people aren't listening to this podcast. They're just working in click farms somewhere in Southeast Asia or Yemen or something. I don't know how this works. Really the only way that I see the numbers go up, and I'm not playing a numbers game, but I monitor because I want to see if my advertising dollar goes anywhere. The thing that helps the most is when people like and share. If you like and share, that's the best thing you can do. That's episode 93 of the Matty B Files. Thank you for listening. Take it easy and have a good one.
アイドホのことは知らないけどアイドホポテトは食べるよみんな食べるからねアイドホ来たら国立公園で月のクレーター見るんだみんな見てるからねボイシーの近くで何か食べに行こうみんな食べるからねみんな食べるからねホーチミンで会った女の子名前はセブンお気に入りの数字は11僕はいい気分セブンイレブンいい気分チャンビールチャンビールタイのチャンビールちゃんと酔っ払ったよみんな酔っ払おうからねそれであゆたや雪のチケット買って歩き回っても酔っ払ってたよみんな見てたけどねメコン川沿いに立って歴史の長さに感動だみんな気にしないけどねみんな気にしないけどねホーチミンで会った女の子名前はセブンお気に入りの数字は11僕はいい気分セブンイレブンいい気分僕の目をまっすぐ見て南に行こう南に行こう僕の目をまっすぐ見て国境の南に行こう国境の南に行こうみんないないところはいいね 同じビゲローバンの宇宙バンガローに一部屋 Please みんな行きたいでしょプロショの宇宙飛行士とスペースウォーカーパーティーだみんな飲みたいでしょ若者って展望室で地球を見たら地図で見たのと全然違うよみんなびっくりだよねねえみんなびっくりだよねみんなびっくりみんなびっくりだよね
Falcon Passport.